Unikitty's obsession with flowers has been an integral part of her character since day one, to the point where she gets super defensive over them, jeopardizes her own business half the time, and once even treated one like it was alive. I mean, she is part bee and part flower herself, so this attachment doesn't feel unnatural, but Jesus. First with Cloud Cuckoo Land and then the Unikingdom, Unikitty was always part of the princess who holds all the power, so she technically be a queen, but isn't, because the word princess is cuter, less evil, and appeals more to little girls trope. Again, it's even in the kingdom rulebook, but Richard also says that it's a monarchy, and I honestly keep thinking back to how Lauren Faust tried to break this trend with Celestia, but Hasbro wouldn't let her. A lot of the episodes about Dr. Fox's inventions have them what else but become uncontrollable and out to hurt the gang. The security bot from the zone is an exception. I know nothing about robotics, but for someone who's supposedly an expert in this field, Dr. Fox doesn't seem to have that much control over how they properly follow commands. But it won't stop her from saying stuff like this.
Note to self, I am super good at making robots.
Hawkedile gets a little visit from his sensei for, well, Hawkedile sensei's climax, and it raises some questions about ghosts in the show and exactly how the sensei died. This seems like a reference to things like Star Wars, where mentor figures ghosts help the protagonists out in some way, but the flashbacks in this episode don't hint at him dying, and there may not be a trace of Eeg later either, even though he was watching the first scene, so WTF. But Action Forest shows him defeating the sensei, so is that how he died? And what about the score creeper? Did he start out like this too, or is he just a different kind of ghost? The birthday party that changed Master Frown's life apparently happened in the Unikingdom, so likely some sort of visit, surrounded by friends and one adult, which I bet had to do with the budget. Unless Frown's family really doesn't care about him or something got in the way. Regardless, accidentally letting go of a lollipop resulted in all kinds of signature Unikingdom craziness that traumatized baby Frown and led him down a gotta ruin it for everyone else kind of path. Although ironically enough, whenever Master Frown's the antagonist in an episode, he's the main opposing force instead of some monster or sentient force of nature like in other episodes, like that experience sorta made him immune to them. When Master Frown's flipping through the channels and best friends, one of them shows a frame from Teen Titans Go, and considering that show has its own plethora of crossovers, insane bitter logic, and continuity destroying, I can only imagine how convoluted and messy trying to make an iceberg out of it would be like. But it also adds more depth to Unikitty's universe that otherwise seemed way more simple and less deep compared to Teen Titans Go. Bugging out has another ending that messes with continuity, so I'll focus more on the bugs from season 2 that look like a bugale. And yeah, I guess chances are they could be related and not just the same species. Richard's newspapers were meant to be just that, spreading news that Unikitty and the others ruined with lies just to get people to buy them. Stop the Presses is pretty much all about the business becoming yellow journalism, but Richard had plans to publish honest news again at the end. When I first saw this one, I assumed it was about the joke about Unikitty's scented stickers being like PG-rated drugs in kitty court, but when I asked Flumi to be sure, she said it was really about the stickers from Guardian of the Unikingdom, and they seem normal at first, but with the power of another sticker, they can glow and open a portal to the underworld, and there's nothing about whether any kinds of stickers can do this too or if the ones in this episode are a specific kind that can. The question about who Unikitty Peppercorn's parents are isn't really brought up in the show. In fact, other than the peppercorn aliens, the closest we got was this line from Plot Device.
That, had it been successful, would have allowed me to inherit our father's vast fortune!
I'm not sure if
That, had it been successful.
other than the peppercorn aliens, the closest we got was this line from Plot Device.
That, had it been successful, would have allowed me to inherit our father's vast fortune!
I'm not sure if this is just for the drama or she's being serious, but if it's the latter then chances are that they're dead. There were these two characters from the Unikingdom Awards that a lot of people believed were their parents, especially since the Turkish dub came out first and hardly anyone understood what anyone was saying. But they're more like living bootleg versions of Unikitty and Peppercorn than anything else, especially considering the names of the awards that Peppercorn won over Gluppicorn. Despite Legos that can take their bodies apart at will and be perfectly fine, the characters in this show still have organs, can bleed, and even be organ donors. Doesn't even have to be for other anthro creatures according to Space Mission Danger. Saying that Dr. Fox doesn't care about her friends wouldn't be true. She's gone out of her way a few times to show how much she cares. But we definitely know that science has always been her top priority. Episodes like music videos and Dawn of the Donut in particular show how willing she is to use them for experiments without them knowing or find value in her own creations over them. And then there's Dunkleycorn where God knows what she did to make the smile sphere. But if it's bad enough to have her arrested then I'm pretty sure there were at least some killings involved. Hell, now that I think about it, there's probably enough to make an entire iceberg just out of Dr. Fox herself because the transparency as to what she's doing in the lab varies quite a lot. One scene in the new nemesis takes place in Eglater's home, and it's the ruins of his sensei's old dojo. Geez dude, learn to let it go. Brock Most Wanted is all about Master around trying to get a Doom Lord promotion, but Brock getting blamed for all the trouble he causes, and even the Doom Lords fall for the misunderstandings, offering Brock a chance at becoming one of them under the name Master Party Ruiner. Unikitty and Frown of course stop him before he can actually be initiated, and even if they didn't, I'm sure it'd be a pretty awkward working experience, but Brock was still technically a Doom Lord for a little while. And compared to when Unikitty was Master Fuzzipant in Ragtag, she didn't go through any of this, so the Doom Lords must have known it'd be a temporary thing with her. The lesson in Wiener Club is that you are what you eat, so guess what happens to Peppercorn when he wins round after round in the underground hot dog eating competition? Seems like in this world, the saying was based on a seems like in this world, the saying was based on a common truth that anyone can become what they eat if they have enough of it at once. Richard is the show's straight man meant to suffer, but he's usually not a full-on butt monkey. I think the rest of the main gang cares too much about him to let that happen, but that doesn't mean they won't misunderstand him, especially when it comes to his backstory, or what little of it we've seen. And what happens when Richard tries showing more of it? He gets glossed over or misunderstood, and even if it's unintentional, it's still pretty messed up how the others fail to recognize Richard's pain. And then when they think he's upset, he's feeling fine. Unless, hear me out, these misunderstandings aren't just for laughs and are meant to be autistic or some kind of neurodivergent coding, which I can buy because misunderstanding social cues is a big autistic trait and something I sometimes suffer from myself. Really, every single character is neurodivergent in some way, and you can't change my mind on this. During Eglater's Tough Guy Tears commercial in Late Night Talkie Time, there's a bit of a flashback with him as a little kid being held back by a bandit while another holds up a stroller with a baby inside. We only see the baby's arms, but it sure looks like these two are meant to be siblings. At first I thought those were orange paws like Dr. Fox's, so even if the chances felt slim, I thought it'd be cool if it was her. But when I started trying to get closer looks for this video, the hands started looking way more green, maybe a little brownish, I dunno. This art style's lines are thick, but whether they're biological or adopted, Eglater has a brotherly connection to whoever this kid was or what happened to them. I still want to think it's Dr. Fox though. The Unikingdom Awards ends with Master Frown striving to become a better person so he can win every single award at the next ceremony. And the last minute and half fast forwards to the next year with Master Frown looking like this, nicknamed Chad Frown by most fans. But if he really spent a whole year getting to this point, then how come he's still called Master Frown? Wouldn't doing any of this mean getting fired from his Doom Lord job? But then again, some of the other Doom Lords were at the Unikingdom Awards, so who even knows anymore? Knowing that Richard's mentioned mentioned being in jail before, Unikitty and Crocodile were arrested at the end of Kitty and Hawk, and the endings to Kitty Court and Unikitty and the Ice Pop Factory. That leaves Brock as the only main character without a criminal record, as far as we know anyway. As for what Richard's been arrested for, he's dropped hints in Tooth Trouble and Time Capsule. Wiki editors speculate that he might be a felon, and if he is then it's hints in Tooth Trouble and Time Capsule. Wiki editor speculate that he might be a felon, and if he is then it's not his only crime. If this man can operate surgery and commit arson with just a paperclip, then what else went down and why? Ted Butters ending up as princess in Election Day is still fucking bullshit and not worth my time. Moving on. The Secret Society opening a portal to the underworld and guardian of the Unikingdom is enough to confirm that Lego Hell is a thing in this show. Be very afraid, people. If we go back to Eglater's flashback and analyzed the dialogue along with the visuals. Then he says his family was kidnapped by bandits and he was running out of time. Looks like he lived in action first his whole life, and it doesn't matter if this family's entirely blood related. He's adopted, the sibling is, or they were some kind of rainbow family. This might have been what led to Eglater becoming an action fighter. He just wanted to save them, or if it was already too late, get revenge, and the rest is kinda history. In Season 1, Dr. Fox was pretty open about not having proper experience with handling illnesses and injuries. We know she's earned her doctor title, but it's meant for different fields of science. But in later seasons, she seemed to have no problem with tackling these kinds of issues. And knowing her, I bet she just felt confident and skilled enough to start experimenting with medicine instead of getting proper training. Just a heads up that most of these are about the Doom Lords in the finale, starting with their plan to annihilate the Unikingdom, which feels like they made it behind Master Big Frown's back after getting annoyed that he was taking so long to defeat Unikitty. But I will say that unless you consider Save the Kingdom canon, it took a long time for the Doom Lords to care about the most positive place in the world as much as their most incompetent member. On in that same episode, Master Doom tells Big Frown to finish the Uniteam and Brock in the same vague way any villain tells another to, and whether it's shown or not, it usually means to kill them, and I'm pretty sure that's what she wanted him to do. But I personally would have rather focused on when Master Frown tried killing Unikitty in Part 1 before he accepted her as a potential friend. Because Master Frown was just a petty guy who kinda cared about her in some ways and didn't want a world without her. I really don't want to feel like this murder plan came out of nowhere, so let's just theorize that he ended up hating her so much this happened. Okay. But I don't think it matter how Unikitty and her friends would end up out of the picture. As long as they did, the Doom Lords would replace the Unikingdom with a new lair and then maybe rule the whole world. Unless they intended to destroy everything but the new HQ and then maybe try spreading more misery and despair to other planets and galaxies if they had plans to do that and find the technology for it. I realize a good chunk of this video is me taking some weird directions with these speculations, but I'm trying to work with what I'm given. Remember this moment from dinner at party?
People like small talk. Your mom likes small talk. Oh, you leave Mama Brock out of this.
Well, in later episodes we find out that this guy, known as Crankabird, is Brock's dad, but there's no Mama Brock. She wasn't even mentioned again, let alone ever seen. Which is a shame because I would have loved to find out about her and her relationships with her son and husband, and some fans use what little about her there is, and the amount there isn't, to speculate and headcanon that she's dead. Including me because I'm a masochist. And last but not least, let's go back to how hard Master Frown tried getting promoted in Brock Most Wanted. Sure, those chances were next to none, but if he accomplished something worth getting promoted over, then some of the finale could have potentially happened earlier than they did, and maybe even the Doom Lord's apocalyptic plans. Well, that was one doozy of an iceberg.